is 7:01. I'll do it by myself. We'll keep moving. It's okay. Joining me, Sheila Vaccaro and Brian Travis. Anyone have any announcements? All right. I wanted to make note that Daryl is not here. So if someone has his phone number, please call and do a wellness check because this is not common. All right, Daryl, and your brother Daryl. I don't know where you are, but you're not here. All right, let's move on to the engineer's report. Mr. Klein, good evening.
Good evening, Nate Klein with Pannoni. I'm here tonight on a few items on the agenda, A, B, and D under new business. Two brief updates. Pannoni and the borough team, we met on the 24th. We've got a monthly coordination meeting. Our next meeting will be on the 30th of October. Two projects kind of coming together right now. One on the agenda tonight will be the Hoops Park, the tennis court restoration project. The great news is that came under budget, under the grant amounts. So we do have that award recommendation on the agenda for tonight. Once that gets approved, contracts will go out and we'll get that work scheduled here hopefully pretty soon. Get this work done before winter sets in would be the game plan. Second, we are preparing the bid documents for the Taylor Run project. We briefly talked about that last time I was here. That is a stream bank restoration project behind the orthodontist office, Hannam Avenue. We had our pre-app meeting with the DEP last week. That will be going out to bid with the bids due on November 7th. So we'll have that on the agenda for the November meetings. Again, right now, the scope of that's trying to keep that within the budget of the various grant projects. So that's the short version of what we have kind of going on right now. Otherwise, I'm here for A, B, and D under new business tonight. So I'll stick around for a few minutes.
It's our pleasure to have you rest for a while. Thank you. All right, Public Works. Don, and Mr. Edwards.
Good evening. The main accomplishment for the past month was successfully completing the 2024 paving project. We also began working with Building and Housing on private trash matters. There appear to be opportunities to improve the process. For personnel, we hired 3 new laborers. 1 is started, the other 2 will start on Monday. Public Works will be fully staffed. We have been preparing for the upcoming leaf collection by getting our equipment ready. The leaf collection schedule was posted to the borough website. The schedule may be adjusted to an earlier start date depending on when the leaves fall from the trees. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Travis, Mr. Carroll. Thank you.
All right.
Phillies are losing 0-4, just so you know. Mr. Mitchell,
How are you?
it's always a pleasure. Wastewater, please.
Good evening. This month, the soda ash silo was pressure washed, prepped, and painted, is completed. Crews removed the 200 horsepower motor and blower A that has failed in the past and took delivery of actually the new one that came in last week. We removed an automatic valve in preparation for installing a new metering device and flow-driven actuator for future phosphorus removal. Cleaned and rebuilt the backflow preventer as annual maintenance. Goose Creek flowed 0.986 million gallons per day as an average. Taylor Run, they replaced 50 feet of chain link fence that a tree fell during one of the storms last month. Replaced 300 feet of piping and heat tracing for their sodium bisulfate. Built a new stainless steel table for the sodium bisulfate pumps and replaced relays in their sludge heater for their water bath that controls the heater for their digester. They treated an average of 0.711 million gallons per day. The pump stations, we were a little busy this past month. We replaced a guide rail and unclogged a pump at the Worthington Street Station. EMR Power replaced an automatic transfer switch for the generator at the New Street Station, and our crews replaced the discharge flange and all these floats and sensor brackets at Minor Street.
Team, any questions? I got two questions for you,
Shoot.
Mr. Mitchell. A neighbor asked me yesterday, he spends $150 a month on bottled water. And he asked me whether the water in the borough was safe to drink. I said, well, I haven't grown a set of horns and I've been drinking it for 25 years. I tried to explain to him that when we do a discharge, the water is actually cleaner than when we bring it in. Is that a true fact, or did I just make that up and make myself look smart, which is hard?
No, it was true. Our discharge is cleaner than what we're bringing in. Aqua, I cannot tell you, I don't want to answer what their water is like, how their water is like. I drink it. No.
But when we do our discharge, the water is, how clean would you say it is for safe to drink?
I would not drink it.
Okay,
Not our discharge, no.
okay.
It is safe enough under DEP's MPDS permit for the creek and the animals and everything. It is discharged into the creek where Aqua actually pulls from that creek farther down in Media and makes it into water, drinking water.
Okay, so it's fairly safe.
I've been in our discharge, in our contact tanks personally to fix a pipe.
Mhm.
It's not that I wouldn't even get in it. I would
Yeah,
fish out of it, tube down it if we could.
Uh,
Yeah, any
well,
recreation.
he don't want to spend $125 a month anymore on water. And I said, don't.
Right.
Yeah. The other one is, how are we set for pre-COVID flow rates from like the university being back online and all that? Are we back to above 2019 rates, or would you say that we're pretty steady?
Give me 1 second. We are not above. There has been a spike. So everybody else knows, we are one of 16 wastewater plants in the state that test for COVID and flu-like symptoms in wastewater. Taylor Run is the second. They consider us separate. Their numbers are a little higher. They're always a little higher because they treat the hospital. So they're always going to have something a little more in theirs. Our numbers are, the last one I had was 9/20. And it is over 150, between 150 and 200 cases per day. Where in April 15th, we were down to just above zero. So as of from July had a little hiccup, but then end of August, it spiked. Yep.
All right. Parks and Recreation. Mr. Karowski.
Evening, folks. Westchester Parks and Recreation, Keith Karowski, Director. Three things I want to touch on quickly. One's not in the report. Finally, after a pretty extensive search, we have a program coordinator starting on the 14th. Not to get into too many details, we had hired two previous people that took the job and then unfortunately went other places. So this person is scheduled to start on the 14th. I have a feeling he will. So I'm very happy to have another person in the office to help share the load. Two things I want to touch on the report real quick. In September, every year, third Sunday in September, Chester County Restaurant Festival. We had the perfect storm, which doesn't always happen. Absolutely beautiful weather. The Eagles played on Monday night, and I throw a nice little party for everybody. No complaints from the police, Public Works, no major reports. There are some numbers, preliminary numbers and figures that I put in the report. Fantastic event. I mean, whether or not I'm here as director, I'd want to see that event continue on forever. It's just such a good event. So many people come out. We had considered to expand it back
to Market Street, which we had done for several years in the teens. It's too much of a beast. It spreads it out too thin. And obviously the cost would go up significantly because we have to bring in more police and more public works. So although it is a crowded event, hey, people can get around. It's a good time. I forever see it, at least in my opinion, staying on that Sunday, the third Sunday in September, and staying to Gay Street. And when we bring in the new infrastructure that'll help close that, I think will be even easier in the future. And then the other thing that Nate touched on briefly is we got the bids back for the Hoops Park Racket Center rehabilitation. It came in under what was expected. And if you match that with the grants that we received from the state, both DCNR and DCED, the grants are paying for like 96% of the project. So we are looking really good for that project. That is long overdue, and I'm really excited to get moving on it. So happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the department.
After the tennis courts are up and running and the pickleball courts up and running, are we going to make sure that there's sufficient and safe parking? Because, it's right now, it's used not as often, but I think once we get something beautiful there, it's going to be really, really
Yes and no.
attractive.
As per the scope of work through both grants, we have to provide handicapped accessible parking, but it will be just street parking as it has been in the past. Now, granted, there's 4 or 5 homes that go along the street right adjacent to the tennis courts. So everyone will be mostly parking on the, I guess we would call it the park side of the park to go there. And yeah, that's part of the process. I mean, I want to bring back the leagues that used to participate in there and just went other places when the courts started to deteriorate. So it's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. But again, we will have the accessible handicap parking for anyone who needs it. We didn't have much of an issue prior in my earlier years here when the leagues were up and running. I'm hoping we don't have those issues moving forward, but I can't foresee.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Old business, approved September 2024 meeting minutes. Team, you have any issues with them? Right. Discuss the 2025 budget.
We don't have a presentation. We're just keeping this as a discussion item open for the committee. If you have any questions about the materials that were distributed last month, we're going to come back, or I'm going to come back at the work session and discuss a completely put together preliminary budget that Barb and I and Will and all the team have been working on. We should have that uploaded as an attachment by Friday this week.
Okay? Yeah. Excellent. The also discuss amending Chapter 62 garbage and rubbish. We had another intensive meeting with Kristen Camp, myself, Nicole Simone, and Brian Travis. And there's a lot of moving parts to this Chapter 62 with private hauling and private and public pickup. So we're not ready to actually do anything with it this month. We're going to talk about it more in depth once we get the verbiage worked out for in November. But Mr. Edwards, you got so excited, you come all the way up front. You want to share anything with us? Well, that was brave. Okay. So we'll talk about that in November. So it's all good. Under new business, motion to approve sewer planning module policy for minor improvements in Goose Creek wastewater collection tributary.
Okay. Mike Ellis put together a fantastic letter to you to explain everything. It's basically we're asking for an approval for a policy, but not an approval tonight or next week. What is going to happen, and what we found was with the projects coming in and the actual surcharge in Maple Alley, with the EDUs going out and the sewage planning module being sent to the DEP and being kicked back, we cannot allow any other additions of sewage into the system right now. Excuse me. So that means if you want to open, we had a steak shop up there that wants to transform retail into a restaurant. we cannot allow them because they're going to up their flow. So now that puts a hold on it. What we're asking for you is to think about okaying a policy to allow us to look at numbers, which we did, of up to 3 per business per property, of up to 20 per year EDUs. What we would have to do now is get the okay from council to say, yeah, we'll look into the policy. We'll meet with DEP and say, this is our plan. We have the sewage facilities planning module in, but we have this problem going on. We're going to fix the pipes. Can we allow small properties to be upgraded, new properties to be added at this limited amount per year? And it'll be each year will be reintroduced until the pipes are upsized and going that way. So the plan is now to get the okay that you'll say, yeah, we'll look into the policy, go to DEP, get them to approve it, come back to you and say, this is the policy. This is which way we want to go. And we'll have to stick to it and look to it every year for just this little center. Billy, can you put the map up to show where it's at? It's the Goose Creek tributary. Some areas on the southeast are not affected because they're on the east side or the south side of the Maple Alley. Everything flows down Maple Alley. It's the trunk till it gets to Linden Street. That's where we're having the problem with it. So anything that goes through that, we are not allowed to add them into the sewer system.
Can you give an example like of, you mentioned the steak shop or the steakhouse or,
Right now, it's 27 South High. There was a retail. They want to transform it into a steak sandwich takeout restaurant. The flow now is, they would be increasing flow because of restaurant, washing dishes, to everything like that. They come to us and say, we want to add the flow because it goes through that pipe. We know there's a problem, but we already have 250 East Market online to add that flow. We cannot allow these people because we know there's a problem, that it can't handle it. So until that's fixed, we technically, legally are not allowed to allow, if you wanted to build a house in that area, we would say no.
Mr. Edwards, you want to opine on this a little bit? This came, I read it. I thought I understood it. EDUs are a little confusing. And it's a little bit of a scary scenario as a resident.
The one thing I wanted to mention was we have a sewer system that doesn't overflow. Okay. We have a sewer system that's full. If we had a system that was overflowing all the time, then I don't think this policy would even be brought to you. But what we're thinking is if there's big development like Rubenstein's or something, that's a problem. But if it's something less than what you said, 20 EDUs or something.
correct?
Yeah, that we should be okay. So I think that gives you a little more.
So this is allowing development and businesses smaller scale.
Right. It would be up to 20 EDUs a year.
Can you explain
An EDU is
what does
the
20?
estimated
EDU
daily usage.
Right, yeah, but what does 20 mean?
Borough uses 239 gallons per day as an EDU. So if somebody comes in, we would allow up to 3 EDUs per property at a maximum of 20 EDUs per year for that section of town.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay. One EDU is one house. Okay. So one house out there is one EDU. If you have a business and one house is, what you said, 250 or
239.
239 gallons per day. That's what a house is. That's just kind of an estimate. But we don't deal with just houses. We also deal with non-residential like restaurants. So if it was 4 times 239 that was coming from a pizza shop or pizza steak place, that would be 4 EDUs. So one EDU is one house. It's the equivalent of one house.
So we're trying to get it, so if a mom and pop shop comes in, we have the ability to possibly allow that, or somebody to build a house or add something in over that time period until Maple Alley is upsized.
Well, I guess it doesn't hurt to ask the DEP and all those other agencies if they'll approve it.
And we have to go through them to get their approval before we come back to you for the approval that they approved. We're going to get your approval so we can get their approval to come back for your approval.
Who's on first?
Yes, not the Phillies.
No, they're not. They're playing terrible again. Team, I know it's confusing.
I mean, if the decision's not ours, it's just basically to move forward
Yeah,
with the approval
yeah.
process
And
through
right
DEP.
now,
Fine, yeah, it
With
sounds,
the numbers that are in it, it's a 0.5% increase for those 20 EDUs per year. So in 2 years, it would be a 1% increase just in that line. As Don said, it's surcharged. The pipe is full during storms. So it's not like it's overflowing. It's going that way.
I'm okay with asking permission.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, Mr. Edwards and Mr. Mitchell. Motion to approve amended environmental covenant of 205 Lacey Street.
So, as part of the Public Works Green Infrastructure Project, which is starting literally this week, there's an existing covenant on that site due to old underground storage tanks. A covenant is a DEP document that says, hey, you have environmental contamination, certain things you can and can't do. We've always known this document existed. We've designed this project in accordance. We ran it up the flagpole at DEP and they said, great, but this document is 20 years old, doesn't meet our current standards. You need to update it to our current standards. We work with Kristen Camp. We've edited the document, provided it. Nothing's real. I don't want to say nothing's changed, but nothing of substance has changed. Kristen has authorized us to edit this. It'll essentially be a new, cleaner document to their standards, just readopting the old document. Again, current project, all designed in accordance with that as well. So pretty straightforward. Again, something that seems confusing, but is somewhat straightforward. Any questions?
You talk so fast, we all said yes. Thank you. That's a 3-0. Tell you what, St. Agnes ever has a carnival, I'm hiring you to do a silent auction. All right, moving to C. Motion to approve 24-month extension of the electronic waste hauling agreement with Echo Reworld. We do that pretty much every year, don't we, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, shoot
Good
for
to
2
see
years
you.
now. Yeah,
Man.
working. Nate gets paid by the hour too, so we ask him to talk fast. So since 2010, a state law has barred the disposal of many types of electronic waste, like TVs, laptops, computer stuff, in the garbage. Items in the law are called covered devices. To make disposal of those, because you can't throw them out in the trash, we try to make it easier for residents so they can take it down to 205 Lacey Street, drop it off at Public Works. However, to do that, we need to maintain a registration with DEP. To maintain that registration with DEP, you have to have a contract with a hauler. So we've been working with EcoVanta. They were either acquired or rebranded or something. So now they're Eco Reworld. This is a 24-month extension of our existing contract. I went to pull invoices to see how much this was costing us, and the answer is zero, because they don't charge us for covered devices. So long story short, you can anticipate this costing $0, but like I said, we're jumping through hoops of DEP to maintain our registration so we can continue keeping this stuff out of the garbage.
Okay with it? You guys okay with it? Did you ever meet that guy DEP?
What's that?
Did you ever meet that guy DEP? I mean, that DEP comes up almost on every subject line. Is it a big building?
Yeah.
Are they like different departments or what is it?
I have no idea. Yeah, they're very confusing to
I'm
work
just,
with.
yeah, DEP. Thanks. All right. Let's see. D, motion to approve bids for Hoops Park Racket Center. Nate, that's you?
So, yep. So as we mentioned, the contractor is JJ Daniel out of Fulcroft. I'm working on them with 3 other projects in Delaware County right now. They've been great to work with. They'll be bringing in a sub for the tennis court surface. to do that aspect of the work. Numbers came in below budget, below grants. So we're recommending council award and we'll get this project rolling.
I'm okay with that. Any issues?
Just so the committee's aware, can you state the dollar amount for us all?
Sure.
Thank you. Anyone listening, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, the total bid is $243,090.21.
And that falls under the dollar amount requirement for RCO,
Correct. The
correct?
RCO amounts 250.
250.
Yeah,
All right,
we bid
good.
this, we thought it was gonna be right around that number, so we actually bid it both ways, saying, hey, if you're over 250, you have to meet it. If you're under 250, you don't. And the low bid was under. The second bid was above, but we haven't gone through that process because the low bidder is qualified, so.
Right, thank you. Any questions, Steve? Okay,
No.
it's a 3-0 recommendation. Recommend for approval adding roads to liquid fuels inventory.
Well, first thing I need to do is tell the mayor it's much different than what we discussed earlier. So what this is, our GIS manager, I don't know Nick Fink's title, but he looked at all the roads that may not be on the liquid fuels list, and that's money. So he prepared a list of roads that could be added. He provided dimensions as far as how wide it is, how long it is. And so what you have are a bunch of resolutions where we want to ask DEP to add them to our inventory. Yeah, I'm sorry. See, I got confused. That's my bad. This is PennDOT. Yes, sir. So anyway, that's why it is being brought before you.
I have no issues with it. It makes more money to us. Under other business, anybody have anything?
I do not.
Okay, I have one thing. Mr. Williams, under other business, can I ask you a question about the Hannum Street calming grant that we were working on? I had a question from some residents down that area, and I told them I would ask you tonight. Remember, we were looking for a grant to do some kind of logistic safety issues. You picked out that corner there, Hannum Avenue and Gay Street by St. Agnes there. Can you knock the dust off that for a second?
Yeah, we did not get the grant.
Oh, there you go. It knocked the dust right off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a similar opportunity coming up. And I think our focus is on South High Street. That's an area where we've gotten money to do streetscape improvements, but we need more. But, I think it's important to keep and maintain a list of these sort of problem areas, problem intersections. I hate driving through that. I don't walk it, and if I had to, I would walk another way. It's a real tricky spot in the borough, and we should do something about it.
Yeah, back in the day, about 6 years ago, I asked, I guess it was Sergeant Daly, to go out there and do a study.
Mhm.
And he did. And the report came back that as you're going around the curves actually become a natural slowing and calming device.
Mhm.
But the surprise is the people standing on the curb at New waiting to cross right there, and the drivers just don't see them. So as you know, and then somebody coming down New Street
Yeah.
tries to beat the curve people. So it's a little bit dangerous. It's a shame we didn't get the grant.
I think what we need is something to alert drivers coming up the hill and around the corner that there's someone crossing Gay Street right there. And it is a shame. But, what we've learned from the streetscape projects we've done post-pandemic is fixing up an intersection is a $400,000, $600,000 thing. So, there's a lot of intersections that need that kind of attention, but we should.
That curve's been there a long time.
Yeah, it's hard to do it without grant money is my point.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Thank you. We appreciate your effort. Any other new business or any other business left? All right, meeting's adjourned at 7:35.